Welcome, everybody. I'm Scott Patton. This is Free eBooks. Well, this is Books Cafe, brought to you by free-ebooks.net. And each week, we're going to be talking to people who can help you publish a book if you want to be an author, or people who are authors. And we're going to talk about their experience in publishing their book. And of course, we'll get them to share. If you're seeing this anywhere, like, share, subscribe so you don't miss anything. And because we're going live, if you ask questions, guess what? We could actually answer them on the air. So if you've got any questions, make sure you ask them. All right. So my guest today, I'm really excited. I've known him for about 3 or 4 years, and awesome guy. And he's the marketing guy behind BC Stack. So we'll talk a little bit about that really well during our talk. And he started Blogging Concentrated and findingjoy.net. So he's a very joyous person. He helps people launch and market their books, get published deals, grow their audience. He's gotten clients on the Today Show, the cover of magazines, and hundreds of podcasts. Like, yay, I think that's awesome, getting people on podcasts. And what fascinates me, and one of the reasons I was so excited that he would join us, is he's self-published his own book. He's got a deal with a vanity publisher, and he's published with a big publishing house. So he's done kind of the big three when it comes to books. So with that, join me, everybody, in welcoming Dan R. Morris. How are you doing, Dan?
I thought maybe there'd be like, applause. Yeah, I thought there'd be that, the little button.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody give him a little love, hit the like button or the like button. I think that's all we've got it on.
Hit the canned applause button.
So did you self-publish first and then do the vanity and then get a big, huge, multi-billion-dollar publishing deal at one of the big publishing houses? Or how did that process work?
Well, while you're doing things, it doesn't seem like a process. It seems like you're just doing things. So looking back, I can see that we definitely took steps. So Rachel Martin, my wife, she runs findingjoy.net, which is a big motherhood blog. Now she gets 50,000 to 100,000 people to her blog a day, and her Facebook page has 500,000 people, and it's a big site at this point. But about 7 years ago, we started getting people asking if she would take her blog posts, if there was a way for them to print them. Like, do you have a PDF? Do you have them together? So
right.
So for her, she just kept telling me, like, we're getting people asking if they can print them. And I said, all right, well, if people want to print them, why don't we take all of the blog posts that have a particular theme and turn them into a book? Now, she had a theme within her blog called Dear Mom Letters. So she would write a letter to, because a motherhood blog, so she would write, to the mom who is stressed, and Dear Mom who feels like she's failing. So we took that series and we turned them into a book. Now, then we sold it for $7.99, and she sold thousands of them.
Nice.
And she even wanted to sell them for $2.99 because she didn't think that people would spend $7.99. But I thought we can always go down, right?
Right.
Always reduce the price, but you can't go back up, really. Like, hey, suddenly it's $5.99. Suddenly it's $11. Like, that's not as easy. So that works great. Now, the process for that wasn't necessarily just copy paste. It is copy paste, but you also want to make it look good, because more than anything, anytime that you sell something, your one and only goal should be to get them to buy it the next one, right? Like, that's your goal. Make it so good that they want to buy the next one. So if we just took the blog posts and then, put them in a Word doc and pressed, print to PDF, I don't think that would work from a branding perspective. So we had to add, imagery, and we took the images from the blog, and then, we kind of massaged it and made it look good. I think we actually hired someone on Fiverr for maybe $100 or something to format it into, make it look like a book. Only because sometimes when you're starting something, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And you don't always have all the skills you need, but the good thing about the world we live in is there are people that do have it, and it's not that hard to find them.
Yeah. You know, like even the word page bleed, I didn't really know what that meant at that time. I didn't have that kind of knowledge in my head. Like I didn't understand the margin rules. And with ebooks, it's not that big a deal. But with like a Kindle book, it's got to be formatted in a way that the words can shift as the screen size. So it can't necessarily be a PDF. So sometimes you do have to outsource your brain to Fiverr or somebody who's done that before, and then just realize, look, I'm going to use their knowledge because I don't really want to make a mistake because I didn't know what question to ask. So that became the point. Ebook. And that one still sells on her site, the Dear Mom Letters. And actually on the page, the sales page, because some people are worried about this. Like, why would people buy it if they could just read it for free? But on the sales page on her site, we actually say, we have compiled the blog posts that you could readily read for free and put them into this ebook. And people still are totally fine because you're often willing to pay to get something into a format you like, or to make it more convenient so you can read offline, for instance. So don't necessarily think people won't buy it if it's already free, because people will. There's always someone that could need it in a different way, and if it's worth it, then they'll do it to them.
Yeah, there was two parts to what you were just saying that I thought was really interesting. And I think the majority of us have these types of issues. One is we undervalue what it is that we create. Right, like you said, we went $7.99, but we really were thinking about $2.99, and I think everybody goes through that. And the other thing is that people will pay for convenience. In fact, that's usually what we do, is we pay for convenience, right? And that's what you did. You said, you know what, we're going to have to format this. We wanted to make it look nice. We don't know where this is necessarily going, but we just don't want to make a Word doc with a bunch of words on it that, because it's not going to have the same feel and the energy that your blog posts have. So you could spend 3 years going to graphic design school and book publishing school and page bleed school and all that stuff, or you could just go someplace like Fiverr or Upwork and find somebody that's done it and that can do it for you. And then you go through that experience as a team, right, where you have people that do. And this is what happens the guy that owns the book publishing company, he doesn't typeset the books, and he doesn't run the printers, and he doesn't run the binding. He's got people that do all of that. And I think us solo entrepreneurs, or duo entrepreneurs in your case, we sometimes think, well, we got to do it all, and it's really not. It's not the way to do it. So I think that's a really great story. Did you end up doing a series of books?
No, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Let me come to that one in just a second.
Sure.
So I was going to say something about convenience, because this happened yesterday, and it was on the forefront of my mind, not thinking that we were going to have this conversation, but I was at the gas station, and my wife said, can you get me a Coke? And I was going to go in and get a Coke for myself. And I was next to the machine where you pull the handle and you fill the, what do you call that? Fountain drinks.
Right, in the fountain machine.
The fountain drink was 79 cents, for a really big fountain drink. And they had exactly what she wanted. They had Coke and Cherry Coke. And I looked at it and I thought, 79 cents, but it doesn't have a lid. Like, it doesn't have a screw top. So I actually walked over to the fridge section and opened the door and paid $1.19 for less soda that had a screw top. I knew it in my brain. I was like, oh, this is the dumbest thing, but I totally want to be able to close it.
Yep. So, well, and the thing is that, like you were saying, that's convenience, but it's, now I lost my thought. we want it to be a certain way, and we're willing to pay extra for it. And what I was going to say was, oftentimes we think, like, what's 40 cents? And in some ways it's a lot, and in some ways it's insignificant, right?
Yeah.
Because we often will do things where it's called like tolerance, right? We'll tolerate things that we shouldn't tolerate because it's going to take an hour to fix it. But every week or every day we have this irritation because of something we're tolerating that we shouldn't. And I think it's really important that we look at, how do we make life go smoothly, right? Yeah. So you take the uncapped bottle, the 2 uncapped bottles into your car, you're driving along and all of a sudden you have to slam on your brakes and the 2 bottles go flying through the interior of your car, spewing Coca-Cola over everything. Now you've got a massive problem that you wouldn't have had if you'd spent the $40, right?
40 cents.
40 cents.
So there was another topic that I thought came up, and that was spending $100 for somebody to format it into a book when you're just starting is like, how do I spend the money? Like, I haven't even made the money yet. Or maybe even I don't even have the money, right? Like $100 is a lot for some people. So here's why it makes sense. And it didn't for a long time. Like, I didn't think this way. If I pay someone $100 to go format this book, who will do it better than me, and they'll do things that I didn't know how to do, like paginate perhaps the right way, or make the captions to the image inside of the little frame so it actually looks cool. Like, I might not have been able to do that, and it won't be as good a book without doing it. But I do know from BC Stack, our flagship product, that if I can take myself out of the book formatting and then actively put myself into the marketing. So let's just say this person's going to take 3 days, right? Which means you were going to take 6 if you were going to do it, because you're hiring somebody who can do it faster. So that means that you have 3 days in my head to really work hard. And if you're selling your book for $2, let's just say, then you got to figure out, how in 3 days can I find 50 more buyers for my book, so that in my head I can balance, look, I just made $100 doing marketing. Well, I spent $100 to make the book look better. Like, if you can figure out how in your head, like, this is what I have to do to pay for that, and then do it, then I think you'll create for yourself a new habit of outsourcing, which will allow you to do more things, because finding 50 buyers means a lot more people are going to know about it. It's probably going to be more than 50. So you're going to actually make more money than it costs you to hire the person to do the book. So if you can somehow create a balance sheet in your head, like, okay, for 3 days, I was going to be doing that. How do I just spend my time making $100? If you could do that, then you'll be way better off in your publishing world, your journey, because you'll soon start to figure out, well, wait, now I can have this person, turn this into a course. Like, now I've got an upsell. Now I've got these other things. Whereas if you stay in the place of, I have to do everything on my own because I don't have money, then you're really limited by your time, and you'll never break out of that mindset. So if you could just do a simple thing, like spend $100 on Fiverr while you find 50 buyers. And that might mean, and we're going to talk about this, I guess, coming up, but if your book is about crochet, you're writing a book about crocheting, then maybe you have to figure out, all right, in the next 3 days, I need to join 30 groups that have to do with crochet. Like, I need to get involved, or I need to find people who have a crochet audience, contact them, tell them about the book that I'm building, ask them if they would like a copy, see if they would like a copy in exchange for telling their audience about the book. Like, if you could totally focus on that for the same 3 days that the person is working on your book, you'll just end up in a whole new place in your head.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I agree, because I came from that place of trying to do everything myself. And I'm switching now. I've got a team of 8 VAs doing different things. And I have to tell you, it is such a load when you've got people that are better than me doing things that I was doing.
Yeah.
And then it gets done fast, because I can be doing something, whatever it happens to be. And then I turn around and, oh, that's done. And it's just like, it's a wonderful feeling, right? And I think you have to really look at what is your job, right? In your case, you're talking about, I'm going to get, X number of sales for my book, and then that'll pay for that person. And if we realize what we're supposed to be doing as opposed to what we maybe think we should be doing, or the tasks that get in the way of us doing what we really need to do, because I see it all the time with people that I would say entrepreneurs more than authors, because I see more of them, but they get stuck in this. There's like a glass ceiling, because you've got 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep, you have to eat, and then you can't get you get interrupted and you can't get anything done. And that's awesome.
If the idea of going out and getting 50 more sales scares you, then in my head, you haven't done one of two things. You either don't know your book well enough, or you don't know how your book helps people. So if your book is going to give better patterns for crochet, or a better way, or something that actually helps people, then you just have to find people who have that problem and tell them, hey, I've created the solution for you. It's in this book. But if you haven't figured that part out, then you haven't really figured out either your audience or your book. You got to do one of the two, and you got to get to a point where you know exactly the problem that people have and that which you're solving. Because once you find people with that problem, as long as you understand that you can solve it, you should be able to sell your book without any problem. And that's a comedy book too. Like maybe you're writing a satirical book, but you just need to figure out who resonates with the satire, and then who resonates in, like, maybe people are depressed, maybe people are upset, or they're overcoming something, or they're overwhelmed. Like, who's this group of people that would read your book and it would just like totally lighten their load, it would make them feel better about life? And you just have to find them. Like, hey, I know you're feeling overwhelmed. I wrote this book. I think you're gonna love it. I used to have a job just like yours. I talk about it in the book. It'll make you laugh. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of book it is, as long as you know what it does for someone and who it is that it will work for. Then you just have to find them.
Yeah, building your community. So that brings me kind of to my next question for you. Like, what's your favorite way of growing an audience for a book?
So for a book, I think some people go about this the wrong way. And I am actually one of those people right now. I'm going about my project the wrong way. And I already know that. And so right now I'm in the process. I started a podcast. And the podcast is based on my love of Paul Harvey. I used to absolutely love Paul Harvey, the radio guy. I loved his stories. So I created this podcast that's based on the kinds of stories that he would tell. And so I tell the same kinds of stories. But at no time prior to this moment have I ever started to create an audience of people who like Paul Harvey or Charles Kuralt or any of the other storytellers. So I'm going to go from being this guy who helps bloggers and podcasters and vloggers turn their hobby into a career. And then I'm just going to suddenly take a right turn and then start marketing this podcast for people who like Paul Harvey stories. But I don't have that. I don't have the audience. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I go this direction without starting the audience? So some of you, like Rachel, she's got an audience of 500,000 moms, and we write motherhood books. It totally makes sense, right? But now I got to figure out, well, how do I create an audience of people who like Paul Harvey and want to hear more stories like that? Because at this point in time, only you on the call pretty much know that I have a podcast about Paul Harvey.
And when you think about it, there are millions and millions of people that would just wait for when he came on to listen for the rest of the story.
So I use a service, a name of which I cannot remember. I use a service. What's it called? It's like Google Alerts. Anyway, so there's a service called Google Alerts, and it will come to me. The one I actually use will come to me here in a second. It's on the tip of my tongue. So basically, I tell Google Alerts anytime anyone mentions the word Paul Harvey on the internet, I would like to know. Anytime anyone mentions the word Charles Kuralt on the internet, I would like to know. So every day I get an email from Google Alerts that says, hey, here's somebody tweeted that said, I like Paul Harvey. And I get to go, I click on it, I go directly to that tweet, which was just tweeted in the last 8 hours. And I get to say, dude, I love Paul Harvey too. That's why I created my podcast. Like, that's just a simple, easy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Google Alerts is great. I don't know which one you're using, but I use that for a number of things, and you get it's for news. I use it for news. So
you can pick any name. So we have our own names because, like Rachel,
yep.
I want to know anytime anyone ever mentions Rachel's name because
right.
Are used. So we must have 50 alerts for every quote. We want to make sure nobody's stealing the quotes and all this stuff. But every day we get these emails that say, hey, here's where your name was mentioned in these 500 places. So that's a good way to at least reach people in a timely manner who are thinking about the thing that you're actually trying to sell. But
right.
the most important part is you have to know who you're trying to reach. Not my book is for women. Like, that's not a thing.
No.
All kinds of women. And it's not my book is for 40-year-old women because there's lots of those too. So you got to figure out who is your book for. Like, that's the most important part. And then, I don't know if you've heard the word authentic online before, but I think people misuse it. Authentic,
no, I've never heard of that word before, actually.
People say be authentic online. And I think most people think that means like be honest or be yourself. But that's not what it means. What it means is everything that you do online should be totally related to the way that your book helps people. So if you're going to do an Amazon gift card giveaway for somebody to, register here to win a book and an Amazon gift card, like that is in no way associated with your book. So all of a sudden,
it's not associated with any book.
Anything. So you start creating this list. People are going to come to your Facebook page. They're going to like your thing in order to be eligible to win this Amazon gift card. And it's not going to matter because if your site is about menopause, I'm still going to go there to try to win this gift card. And I don't care about menopause. So you want to make sure that everything that you do, your Twitter description, your LinkedIn description, your giveaways, they're totally related to the purpose of your business or your book. So if you're going to give something away, instead of an Amazon gift card, then give away a 30-minute session with you talking about this thing, how you help people do this, or a pre-recorded webinar where you explain A, B, and C, but it's totally related to your book, because then the only people who will sign up who are people who are interested in that thing in the first place. And then you'll start creating a real audience of people who actually care about the thing that you do, and not a fake audience of people who just wanted to win a gift card and then they're never going to see you again. And once Facebook realizes nobody cares about you, then you become irrelevant. And they make you irrelevant. They're like, we're going to make you irrelevant. With Rachel's Facebook page, we reach 300,000 people every week without having ever paid a dime to Facebook, because we are only talking to moms about motherhood things, and they share it and they love it. And because that, Facebook's like, oh, well, if you're going to share it, I'm going to show it to your friends, and I'm going to show it to their friends. Like, it's just this, it just keeps growing and growing as long as you stay focused on the reason why people were there in the first place, what it is that you do, because your book should kind of be part of your mission of like, what is it you're trying to do for people? as an overall thing.
Yeah, I was thinking, Dan, as you were talking, there are two groups of people in the world, and one is the group, and this type of group is the one that we see in front of the Apple store when there's a 50% off sale and no one's been able to shop for 3 months, and they're just like banging down the doors and they're just going nuts. And then there's everybody else that just sort of watches and shakes their head. And that group that bangs down the door is your audience, right? So it's not, I mean, as an analogy for your audience, and everybody else that's watching and shaking their head is not your audience. And so what you want is you want to get your audience to the front of the line to get in, to get whatever it is, the information or the product or the service. And you want everybody else to just sort of stay away because they're not really going to help you. From an ego perspective, having 500,000 followers on Twitter is like, that's really cool. But, if they're all 30-year-old guys and your target market is women, blah, 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 and those guys are not at all interested, then it doesn't do you any real good except to say, wow, I got, 500,000 followers on Twitter. How cool am I? Yeah. And that's not going to buy you a cup of coffee, let alone help you in your mission, which I think is really important.
Yeah. And your mission should always be sell the next book. Like, this book should be so awesome and create an audience that people want the next one. Like, that's the whole idea. Like, they're just going to want the next thing. Otherwise, I mean, just think about how many people are waiting for the next Nike shoe to come out. Like, there's entire sites dedicated to when Nike releases their next shoe. And then there's an entire black market associated with first release and, when did it come out? Like, all this stuff, because there is a fan group for exactly what it is that you do.
Right.
As long as you do it well.
And you see it everywhere. So then the trick is to be, like you said, I really like your definition of authenticity, because if everything I am doing is going to be attracting my ideal prospect, my ideal customer, my ideal fan, then everybody else sort of falls away. And then that grows, because the other thing that people don't really think about too much, and I think they should, is we get better. If you're spending, 5 hours a day trying to figure out how to get your ideal customer or fan to read your book, after a year or two, you've got it down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're a lot better. Like I tell everybody when we start out doing a podcast together, I says, you may be a good speaker right now. You may be a terrible speaker right now, but I guarantee you a year from now, when you listen to our first episode, you're going to say, wow, wasn't as good as I thought I was, because you have improved so much over the year. It's not that you were bad or anything then. You were probably really good, but we improve as we do things over and over and over again. And so I see that with my, the people I do podcasts with or Udemy courses with. It's just absolutely it's the greatest feeling in the world, seeing somebody stumble through a course the first time, and by the time we do the 10th course, they're just winging it like super pro, and I just love it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know we've done over 100 events. We do 8-hour workshops for bloggers and authors, and I think the 100th, like I knew it by the back of my hand, and by that time, we changed some of the topics because some of them totally didn't resonate, and eventually, it was a really well-oiled machine, exactly how we want it today. But cool. It's going to be the same for you with your book and your marketing and knowing your audience, which is probably another good topic is trying to get someone to share your book.
Right.
There's one way to do this, in my opinion. There's one way, and that is you know your audience so well that when they read the book, they see their own thoughts in it. And because of that, they want to share it. So when a mom reads one of Rachel's blog posts or books, her goal is to get 1,000 likes in the first hour, which is crazy, right?
That's insane. That's awesome.
Yeah, for every post. So when it doesn't get 1,000, then she knows that either the image wasn't right, like the image just didn't capture the feeling of the post, or something about the post wasn't totally right, because people will like it when people like things when it says, it means I agree. It means when you like something, it's like, you like the Denver Broncos football team if you like the Broncos, right? You don't like it just randomly because it says something about you. So when your book says something about you, something positive, something like, oh, I'm totally feeling this. Like, this is exactly how I feel. And women in particular know how their friends feel. They know, other moms feel. They're like, you need to read this. This is totally us.
Right.
So yesterday I was looking online. My daughter has a car problem, and I was trying to figure out what the problem is. You know how when you Google that, like, car makes a whirring sound or a buzzing.
Yeah, right.
You put the name of the car and the year, like, you're trying to figure out, does somebody else have this problem and can they fix it? And I read, just in the Google search results, the very first line, it only gives you 12 words before you click on it. Somebody said the words that sounded exactly like the problem I was having.
Nice.
So I clicked on it. I'm like, this sounds exactly like it. And what I wanted to know was, obviously, what do the people on this forum are saying about how to fix that thing? But all of the rest could have been the exact same problem. But it wasn't until I saw the problem from my viewpoint in print. Like, yes, this is exactly the problem. Is how I see it or describe it. Right. And I thought, when I read this, it's going to be the solution to the exact problem that's in my head. And if somebody else had the same Chevy, whatever she's got, Cruze, and they had a problem, I'm going to say, hey, go read this, because this guy knows exactly how to solve that problem.
Right.
So if you're going to take one of those courses, it's like, write a book in a day, right? Which I'm not a big fan. Then I feel like it's going to be very surface, like, because you're basically going to write an outline, and then you're going to take your 3 main topics, and you're going to break each one of those down into 3. And you're going to break each one of those down into 3, and you're going to write a paragraph for each, and then you've got yourself like a book. Simple, right? Sounds simple. But will that concept get shared a million times? Because when you sell a book, you only sell it to one person. What you have to do is figure out, how, when I sell this book, does the person who's reading this book then sell this book to one of their friends? Like, how do I make that happen? And the only way that happens is if you really, really know your audience, and they read it and go like, oh, this was exactly what I
That is such a good question to ask yourself when you're making your book, right? When you're writing your book.
Yeah.
It's like, how, because I'm not a publisher. I'm not a big author. Authorship is not a, I'm in more of the podcast realm, and it's a great question for that realm, right? It's like, how do you get your listener to share this information? Because it's so there, but not because I'm hammering you to share, but because they're going, oh my goodness, Dan needs to hear this, so I got to get it to Dan.
Yeah.
Right? So
in The Brave Art of Motherhood, which was our 3rd book, and that one we did with Penguin Random House, we bought 1,000 books on our own to put in the garage and sell ourselves for the first run. And our question was, all right, we're going to sell these to our audience, but how do we get our audience to share the book? So we decided that when we were writing the book, that we're going to include a section in the book about friendship, like in the actual text, how to be a better friend for moms. And it was basically saying, look, all of us are overwhelmed, and every single mom says, I don't really need help. But everyone does. Everyone needs a night off. Everyone needs time. Like, maybe just show up once for your friend. Like, maybe that's your goal this year, is to show up for your friend, bring dinner, and just do it, because you're a mom too, and you know that it's hard to even ask for help. So in the book, in that section of the book, actually page 127, we put a postcard with a stamp on it. And it says, on the bottom of the postcard, I wrote in print in tiny letters, send to a friend after you read page 127. And the postcard was a quote from the book that named the book. So of our 1,000 books that we sent out, there were 1,000 postcards that a mom was supposed to send to a friend with a quote, from the book, basically a promo from the book. And those, because they had a special URL on the actual postcard itself, those turned into more sales for us. Quite a few sales. We don't exactly know, because some people ordered cases to give their church or something like that.
What a great idea.
But always be thinking, like, how do I extend the life of this book? And think about that now while you're writing it, because you can build that into the pages.
Yep.
So
it's the most natural thing. I'm reading. Oh, that would be great to be able to help my friend. Oh, there's a postcard. All right, off he goes.
And then also in the book, because with Penguin Random House, it's a trade paperback. So it means it's a John Grisham style novel size book. And you know how many pictures are in that kind of book? Yeah.
Not many. Yeah.
So at the end of the book, we actually included an entire page that said, if you want to see some of the pictures from Rachel's journey, from her life, then you can go to findingjoy.net/visual journey, I think. Another way for us to extend the life of the book, get people to go back to the website with a practical way.
Right.
Like not a go get this thing, but a practical, hey, like some of these stories that you really resonated with, like there's the actual pictures. The church you went to, or the truck that was impounded, whatever the story was. You can go see the visual journey at her site.
So did you have one page and it was sort of coordinated with the book? Like this is chapter 1, this is the image from chapter 1, page 14 or something like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think we didn't do that. Chapter 1. I think we didn't do that, but we did do from chapter 1, Rachel talks about her church. And then this is the church that she went to, and then a little bit more about going to the church that's not in the book. But I don't think we did the page numbers. And then that led to, it was like page by page, because we want ad revenue. You had to press next to go to the next visual image.
Right.
And then at the end it was, if you'd like to get a free copy of the Brave Motherhood ebook, which is a totally different book, then we collected email addresses that way, because you can't really collect email addresses if they buy it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble.
Right.
So how do you build money?
That's a great way to do it. Huh. Awesome. Dan, you've shared some really excellent tips and strategies. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And I don't want us to leave without you taking a few minutes and talking about BC Stack. So I know we're coming to the end. This is a little bit of a shift maybe, but I've been involved with BC Stack for I think 3, maybe 4 years now. And I just think it's a wonderful promotion that you put out every year. So let everyone know a little bit about it.
So this is our 6th year. We're doing this product we call BC Stack. And we take the original idea of it was when we were down in New Zealand doing a workshop, we mentioned some of the experts like Gary Vaynerchuk that people know pretty regularly in the United States. And people didn't know them down there. And I thought, that's really strange, because I thought the internet was like the great equalizer. So on the way home, we thought, what if we introduced our experts to them and their experts to our people, so that everyone can meet new people and get new ideas? Because there's all kinds of ideas there that we weren't doing here. And that seemed strange to me. And then when you're in Facebook groups here, everybody has the same questions. It's always the same answers. Like, where's the new ideas? So every year we take 65 experts that know about digital marketing, book marketing, video marketing, podcasts, blog. We take a product from each and we put them into this bundle. And then we sell that bundle for $39. And this year it's the week of July 19th. And it's just 1 week. And for the contributors, the people who give us the products, I mean, they sell these products. So there's a whole lot of, there's a long conversations to convince them to be part of Stack, to get the exposure. But otherwise, even, with Scott, who's been in it for several years, and he always has a different course that's, fantastic that we put in it. But, for the new people that don't know about it, in order to give them their best product, like, can you just give it to us? I know you usually sell it, but this is a chance for new people to learn about you. So if you'd like to get a whole lot of new ideas and meet people you've never met, experts who are doing stuff that you probably never thought about, then the week of July 19th, BC Stack is open. It's open once a year, and then that's it. That's our cool product.
Yeah, and I just want to add to the product, the courses, the knowledge, the information in BC Stack is not somebody's freebie that they have as an opt-in on their website. These are real for sale courses with usually the cutting edge of what the people are into. And certainly I know that's the case for the courses that I put into it.
And I just got Bond Halbert in Stack this year.
Oh, nice.
The biggest copywriter in the world. He's putting copywriting product in. I was like, holy mackerel.
Nice.
That was an hour conversation yesterday. I was like, please. He's so awesome.
Way to go. So head over. Is BC Stack ready now?
Yeah, you can actually pre-buy it because I forgot to take that down.
Okay, good. Awesome. So I really highly recommend go over to bcstack.com, join, buy the package.
Yeah.
You're going to get thousands of dollars worth of, not worth of value, worth of savings, because that's what it would cost you to get these if you weren't if you didn't join through BC Stack.
Yeah.
And it gets my highest recommendation.
Actually, I think the biggest benefit is there are courses that you would never buy because people are so stingy with their money. Like, I'd love to have that, but I can't. Like they can't get over themselves. Like, I can't spend that money because I just can't spend money on myself. So there's stuff like even a Facebook ads course that you just couldn't get yourself to buy because you couldn't spend $400 on a Facebook ads course, but you get it here for total all 39. So for me, it's like, I mean, all that stuff that you wish that you could get, but you can't convince yourself to spend money on yourself. This is the one time where you get a chance to do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Really having you on here, and I'm going to invite you to come back again sometime after the BC Stack promotion is going to go at a time, because I'd love to delve into more on the book publishing and book writing, and you're an expert on that. So thank you.
Anytime, man. I appreciate it. Love seeing you again.
Oops. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been Books Cafe, presented by free-ebooks.net. Head over if you're not already a member. Join. You get 5 free ebooks a month, and we've got 40,000 books for you to read. We've got over 10,000 audiobooks for you to listen to, and we're encouraging brand new authors to join and put some of their books up on our site to help build their community. And this is a way for you to get access to new up-and-coming authors and read some of their stories before they become super well-known and big. And if you're an author, it's a way for you to grow your community. We have over 2.5 million members, and they're always looking for new books to read, especially in today's time. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.